Hey everyone, Mark the Movie Man here. Welcome to the final cut. Yes, we have a brand new horror film hitting wide release this weekend, and it's called A Quiet Place, brought to us by director John Krasinski, who also stars in this next to Emily Blunt. And we basically follow a family as they try to live their lives in a world that's now been infested with creatures that hunt by sound, and they got to keep things very, very quiet. Well, this family suffered a tragedy early in this infestation, if you will, of these creatures, and we see how they deal with that tragedy a year later and how it's affected their lives, as well as some other things that have come up and how they're just trying to live without making a noise to ring the dinner bell for these creatures. And all of it comes to a tension-filled head in A Quiet Place. I loved Emily Blunt and John Krasinski in here. Him being behind the camera, in front of the camera, did not take away from this movie, which is a tension-filled, make you hold your breath horror movie without dialogue. Well, there's very little dialogue. Some of it's through sign, which is subtitled. There is some spoken word in here, but not a whole hell of a lot. So all of these actors have to convey their ideas through either sign language or facial expressions or physical motions, and I loved that. I loved it. Added a different dynamic to the horror film and also made you pay attention to the sound around it. Sound design in this film is very important and very well done. It helps build the tension in here. I liked the way they came up with things of how to live their life quietly. It made sense. It was really cool to see that, you know, because you're like, yeah, I could see people doing that. The kids in here, Noah Jupe, who plays Marcus Abbott, I enjoyed his character quite a bit, the younger boy, who really is just having a tough time dealing with being quiet all the time, and also, you know, just trying to learn to survive. He's a little hesitant to that, and I really enjoyed his performance in here. And Millicent Simmons plays an interesting character. We've got a great dichotomy in here because we've got creatures that hunt by nothing but sound, and then we have Millicent Simmons' character, Regan, who can't hear. So I loved that dichotomy that they had in here, and also the fact that it helped set up the family speaking through sign language. It made sense as well. So there's a lot of things in here that made sense. There are a few dangling questions that I had in here, especially as we get to the solution near the end, that didn't take me out of the film, but I will say just a couple of them, like, well, why didn't... But you could put it in a context of where this family lives, and the thing, we don't know fully what has happened to the rest of the world in that. So there are a lot of unknowns, so those questions may have answers, but it's not important to the story. What's important to the story is following this family, seeing how they deal with loss and of both sound and of tragedy in their lives, and I enjoyed that. I loved how they crafted that. There's interesting color palette in here as well. It's kind of muted colors, kind of like muted with the sound. Nothing's really a sharp color in here. It's not completely drab, but it does give you that feeling that the world has changed. And so the color in there really helped get that effect across, and the cinematography. All the elements come together in here to create a nice tension-filled horror film. For a modern horror film, it's very scary. It doesn't rely just on jump scares. The creatures look awesome. For CGI creatures, these are probably some of the best CGI creatures in a modern horror film I've seen in a while, but it makes sense because they had ILM do the special effects work on it. And yeah, I loved the design of these creatures. They put some thought into them. We don't get to see them for a good chunk of the film, so you're kind of wondering, what exactly do they look like? And let me tell you, when you do get that reveal, which they're creepy. They're just creepy as hell, let me tell you. Great design there. So all of it comes together for a great modern monster horror film all these great horror films we're getting on the wide screen now. It's great seeing filmmakers take chances and do something different, and A Quiet Place is definitely a different horror film. Though you do have a few of your tropes in there, the way it's executed is very unique, and I loved every minute of it. I thought it was original, and it needs to be seen on the big screen in a quiet theater. So I give it 4.5 stubs. Now not quite 5, but it's still really worth your time, I think, especially if you're looking for a decent modern horror film and a fun time at the theater. So if you've seen A Quiet Place, leave your comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts on this movie. Please subscribe if you have not already. I appreciate your support, and until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.